Hello and welcome to Sera Reviews Discs. I'm here with part 2 of my Criterion Barnes & Noble sale recommendations. Got a good stack of movies here. Looks like 8, I guess 9 if you count the double pack. And I'm just going to be going through some movies I like and I recommend you get at the Barnes & Noble sale. So, we'll just get right into it. Starting with Police Story by Jackie Chan. I can't remember if he directed these or not. Yeah, it looks like he did. I don't care so much for Police Story 2. This is worth getting for Police Story 1. If you like Jackie Chan, these movies are essential. And they're just some of the most fun and kinetic action movies I've ever seen, with some great stunts. I highly recommend Police Story 3 as well, but in the uncut version, but that's hard to get your hands on. But yeah, I'll open it up here. This is one of the first Criterions I ever bought, because I was interested in these movies and I couldn't stream them anywhere. So just let that fall out. And it comes with a poster of Jackie Chan in the movie. There's a gag in the first movie where they make posters of him as, like, the ideal cop, you know, and this is the poster from the movie. But this is just a really great set. You're practically getting 2 movies for the price of 1, and there aren't really any better movies to get, at least action movies, in the collection. Maybe The Killer if you want to go to the DVD, but you might as well just get the Shout Factory 4K of that, hard-boiled as well. But yeah, this is about as good as Hong Kong cinema gets, other than Wong Kar-wai, obviously. I mean, this is just, they're funny, they're exciting. Jackie Chan gives a great performance, and he directs them really well as well. I highly, highly recommend Police Story. The second movie, I blind bought this yesterday, and I watched it, and it immediately was one of my favorite movies I've ever seen, which I've seen over 1,900 movies at this point. And I think I put this at, like, number 15. It's just every single little thing I could want from a movie. This is not the most famous movie in the collection. All That Money Can Buy, also known as The Devil and Daniel Webster, which I prefer the second title, so I'll be referring to it by that. But it's on Letterboxd by the first title. It's based on the Appalachian folktale of The Devil and Daniel Webster, where it's kind of Faustian in the sense that a man sells his soul to the devil out of desperation, and it corrupts him, and then he gets the best lawyer he knows to argue for him in a trial against the devil. 106 minutes, 1941. It's got some of the best cinematography I've seen from this era, really maybe of all time. The effects shots are so cool and so effective and so well done, which you wouldn't expect effects shots from a drama like this. But it really is just, it's creepy, it's compelling, it's emotionally moving, it's extremely well written and directed, it's got great performances. Yeah, I love Southern Gothic, everything. And technically this is set in New Hampshire, but being based on the Appalachian folktale, it's got so much Southern Gothic energy. If you liked Sinners, I would highly recommend this movie. This is kind of what I wanted Sinners to be when I watched it. And it's just got a great cover. I had honestly never really heard of this movie before. I had seen it in passing, like referenced in passing, but before yesterday, before I just saw this on the shelf and blind bought it, I never really heard of it. And I'm so glad I did, because this is one of the greatest movies. Certainly of its era. I put this up there with Double Indemnity. Yeah. If you pick up like one movie you might not have heard of, or at least one older movie you might not have heard of, I'd recommend it be this one. Next we've got The Last Temptation of Christ. This is a Martin Scorsese movie, so it's pretty well known, but it is one of his, I'd say, under-regarded masterpieces. This is my favorite movie of his. It's my favorite cinematic portrayal of Christ in the gospel stories. Because most Jesus movies are very focused on preaching and his divinity. But this movie is very focused on his humanity. Because if the idea is that he's all God and all man, the man part needs to be represented as well in cinema. And this is the best representation of that. Even if you're not religious, you have no real interest in Christianity or Christian movies, I'd watch it just for how well executed the drama is. I mean, it's essentially a melodrama that's about Jesus, you know, and the style of those old 40s and 50s movies. Like, it's almost Nicholas Ray-esque at times, the way everything feels so cataclysmic, big, grand scale. Little moments feel extremely significant. It's got some of his best direction. It's got a great score. It's kind of funny. Harvey Keitel as Judas has a New York accent the entire time. But you can look past it. I mean, you've got Harry Dean Stanton as the Apostle Paul, David Bowie as Pontius Pilate. I mean, it's got a great cast. And it's a little on the longer side, but if you are a Scorsese fan, I'd say this is an essential part of your collection. Next we've got Love Streams. This is my favorite John Cassavetes film, one of my favorite movies. I'd say this is, honestly, it's my favorite one. It's not the best directed movie he ever made. I would say that's A Woman Under the Influence. And it's not got the best Gina Rowlands performance. I'd say it's got the second best Gina Rowlands performance. But that's also A Woman Under the Influence. But this movie is just so emotionally potent for me. I mean, it just feels so raw and truthful, which is what people who like John Cassavetes like him for. But there's just something about, I mean, it was his last film he made. He knew he was dying. And there's just something so sentimental about this movie that really connects with me. Obviously, pick up the Cassavetes box set if you want to get into him. But if you're a fan of his, or are just looking to get into him and not buy a whole box set's worth of stuff, I'd say pick up this movie. Going through the booklet. I always forget that this is a Canon film. Canon being the company that made all those Charles Bronson and Chuck Norris movies in the 80s. They were the only people who were willing to produce this thing because they knew it wasn't going to make any money. And so no one wanted to touch it. But I'm so glad we got one final masterpiece out of him. Yeah. Such a great movie. One of my favorites. Next we have Taste of Cherry. It's from Iran. If you've never seen a movie from Iran before, I'd say this is a great starting spot. I mean, it's 99 minutes. It's purposely slow. If you like slow cinema like Tarkovsky and that sort of thing, you will love this. It's about a man who wants to kill himself, but because of the extreme social taboo of suicide in Islam, he can't find anyone to bury him. And so he goes about picking up random people in his car and trying to convince them to bury his corpse once he kills himself. So it's depressing. It's moody and just so realistic a portrayal of mental illness. But if you can handle that sort of thing, it's extremely well made. And if you've ever been through that sort of thing, it's kind of cathartic. I won't give the ending away. The ending is actually very unsure about what happens. But it's beautiful, and you kind of project your own feelings onto it in a pretty masterful way. So I'd highly recommend this. If you're looking for a good movie from a part of the world you might not have seen very many movies from, this is the one. Now for something completely different. Polyester, John Waters. This is my favorite John Waters movie. I'd say if you're looking for a John Waters movie that earns its R rating while also not being completely disgusting and inaccessible, like something like Pink Flamingos is, this is the one. It's his safest of the Divine movies, I would say. I mean, obviously I like Female Trouble a lot too. I've got that here. I've got Pink Flamingos, which Pink Flamingos being extremely controversial. I would not say start with that one. I'd say that's a finisher John Waters movie. This is a starter John Waters movie. And that's probably why it's my favorite, is because it is the most safe and the least disgusting to me. Which, if you're watching his movies, you're watching them for the disgusting parts. But this has it in about a level I enjoy. I think this is one of his best shot movies. It's a parody, almost, of Douglas Sirk movies. So if you've ever seen a Douglas Sirk movie, which if not, you can pick up some of his movies from this very same sale. But if you've seen that sort of stuff, if you're familiar with 50s melodrama, stuff like Rebel Without a Cause, Nicholas Ray stuff, then you'll get exactly what this movie's going for. One of the best parts of this release, and why I recommend you purchase this to watch it for the first time, instead of just streaming it, is it comes with this thing called the Odorama card. Now, when this movie was first released, these cards were given out in the theaters, and there's cues in the movie to scratch the card and smell the card. And the Criterion Blu-ray comes with this card, and so you can actually interact with the movie as it's playing, which you wouldn't be able to do just on streaming. And it just adds an entire another dimension to it. Which, obviously, that's hearkening back to the gimmicks of 1950s cinema. William Castle stuff and all that. Here's the poster. And so yeah, if you like 50s movies, or if you like kind of gross out 80s comedies with some dark subject matter, definitely recommend this movie. And if you're looking to get into him and don't know where to start and you're kind of put off by some of his more extreme work, this is a great place to start. Badlands. I love this movie. I'm not a big Terrence Malick fan, honestly. I like this movie because it is the most regular movie of his movies. And it allows me to appreciate his otherworldly style in a way that feels accessible to me. Obviously, I respect movies like The Tree of Life, Days of Heaven, but they don't connect with me in the way this movie does. This movie feels so real. It's depicting some terrible things. I mean, it's basically about a man who grooms this young girl into going along with him on his crime spree, but murdering her father and all that. So it's upsetting to watch, but it's beautifully filmed. It's well acted. Martin Sheen, and I believe it's Sissy Spacek. Yes. Yeah. I love Carrie, and I think that's her best performance, but this gives Carrie a run for its money. Here's the booklet. It feels brutally honest about the way we romanticize criminals in a lot of these crime movies, you know, that were coming out early on. Even stuff like the 1930s gangster pictures, like with James Cagney. It feels like one of those movies in the sense that it's just incredibly honest about the way these things are portrayed in media. Yeah. Said the word honest so many times in this video. But that's what I like in movies. I like movies that feel genuine. And this is about as genuine of a movie as you're going to get as a take on the Bonnie and Clyde scenario. That and They Live by Night, which by Nicholas Ray. Again, I keep mentioning him. I'd recommend that pickup. I don't actually have that Blu-ray yet. I'm going to get it. But that is a great movie. And it would make a great double feature with Badlands if you want to pick them both up. And finally, a movie you might not have heard of. It's a Czechoslovakian movie from 1969, The Cremator. Now, this is about as dark of a comedy as you're ever going to find. It is a comedy about the politics surrounding the Holocaust, written and directed by an actual Holocaust survivor. It is so bleak and unforgiving, and it manages to find humor in just how awful and terrible and psychotic these people were who were orchestrating these terrible things. Yeah, here's the booklet. If you're looking for something weird that you might not have heard of, and you can handle dark subject matter and just something pretty bizarre, this is a great movie. You'll never see anything quite like it again. It's pretty singular in terms of subject matter and tone, I would say. But yeah, I recommend this one. Probably not to everybody. You gotta know your limits when getting into stuff like this. But if you think you can handle it, it's a great watch. I could easily do another one of these videos, or maybe even two. But unless you all ask for it, I'm gonna cut that off here. Don't want to burn through my whole collection. This has been another episode of Sera Reviews Discs. Recommendations for the Criterion sale. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.